All right, welcome to the Extension Connection on this rainy but nice spring day. You're joined today by Amelia Dahl. I'm the 4-H Youth Development Agent, and with me in the studio I have Ashley Stegman, our Ag and Natural Resource Agent. And we actually have a guest with us today. Shania Brooks is one of our interns this summer. So we have the great opportunity to have a few interns help us out during the summertime because it tends to be our busy season in the Extension office.
No, really? Busy?
Yeah.
An extension office during the summer?
Maybe just a little.
Just a little.
And so Shania is here just to provide her input and 2 cents on things. Shania, you want to tell everybody a little about yourself?
My name is Shania. I am a student at the University of Mary. I am currently majoring in nursing, and I have a minor in Spanish. And I'm so excited to have this opportunity at the 4-H office this summer.
And you used to be a 4-H'er.
I did. Yep, I was in 4-H for about 7 years.
And you did a bunch of static stuff, right? The non-living.
Non-livestock.
Non-livestock, non...
Yep, I loved all the baking and flower arranging, sewing. That was kind of my forte.
Awesome. So we're really excited to have Shania here. You'll probably hear her here throughout the summer talking about a variety of different things. She's kind of doing a little bit of everything for us in the office, a little bit of 4-H, a little bit of family consumer science, a little bit of gardening even towards the end of the summer. So we're excited to have her here. Today we're going to talk about a variety of different things. Ashley is going to first talk about some farm stuff. She told me on the way over here what she was talking about. And honestly, my non-farm mind kind of glazed over. But she got some market updates for us and some other information for our farmers as we head into this summer. And I'm going to talk about, for those parents out there with kids that are maybe going to be home during the summertime, or you want to help decrease that learning gap that happens in the summertime with our youth. It's just some tips and tricks for that. So Ashley's going to start with us first with some market updates for us.
All right, wonderful. And I know some of us are really excited and welcoming that rain that we're getting. Right now, just looking out the studio window here, we're aimed, I guess, to get rain all day and possibly into the evening and tomorrow.
And you know, it's a nice rain. It's not like pouring, and it's not that mist that just gets your glasses dirty and does nothing else.
I love this type of rain. I could handle this rain all the time. It's the wind and rain. The last few systems we've had go through this week, those are kind of ugly. I know I was watching TV downstairs with my kids, and all of a sudden I have, of course, had all the windows open because, you want to get that spring air and, that smell and just that coolness into your home, and then all of a sudden it's raining inside my house.
Yep.
So run around, close all your windows. But, that rain is really welcomed, especially our farmers, our ranchers. We really need that precipitation at this point of the year. Whether you're growing crops or raising those cow-calf pairs or other livestock, we really need that moisture to help us jump into the growing season. The seeds we've put down in the ground, we need that moisture and that warm weather, which we're getting some good warm weather coming up here, and that will really help us get those crops emerged and really get them growing to the point that we'll get a good start on for the early growing part of the season. Based on the crop progress report that just came out this week, we're seeing that 86% of our corn acres for the U.S. are planted, along with 85%, or 56%, of our U.S. soybean crop planted, and our spring wheat crop is already planted at 95%. So we're really seeing all those small grains are already planted. We have few individuals locally still putting some of that corn into the ground. Soybeans is going to be our later one. We have a few individuals already started. I did hear reports over in Cass County, so more on the eastern side of the state. We did lose some of that early emergent corn that was put into the ground. So what that means is we put that corn in the ground too early, and they had some frost, some snaps, and so it killed off that early emerging corn. So they're going to have some replanting of corn and soybean acres over on the eastern part of the state. Now, when talking about markets, we did see kind of a run-up on our soybean market, and that is because of one of our competitors here, a global competitor for soybean market, had some change in their government. Now, I'm going to have another pop quiz because you guys love pop quizzes.
Not when they relate to farming, Ashley. I do
But
not
I think
do
I've
well.
asked you this before, so I'm
Okay.
checking your knowledge.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Okay, and Shania, you can jump in too, okay? All
Shania
right.
is more abreast to the agriculture stuff. She lives on a ranch.
That's right. So who is our big competitor in the soybean market globally? Like which country? Take a guess. Maybe I tested Chandra on this before.
This was not a question you have asked me before. I'm going to go with Germany.
No. Shania?
Just for those of you who couldn't sense in her voice, she just laughed at me.
There's a little chuckle.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. Maybe.
Okay, what does Germany
some
produce? What is
country.
you've been there? There are a
They
lot
produce grapes. Lots of grapes.
Okay, great.
And barley.
Barley, because
They
what
do
do they
wheat.
like to drink?
beer.
Beer.
Beer, that's right. So no, Germany does not produce a
So,
lot of soybeans.
is it an Asian country?
No, it is not.
The reason I said Germany is because they tend to have the same kind of climate we do. So I figure well, we have a
there you
climate
go.
similar. See, I was trying.
You're
It
trying.
wasn't just a
Good guess.
shot in the dark.
Good guess. Nope, they're going to be more of your, well, you've been there. So grapes they produce and barley because they like their beer. So that's what they produce.
Can I get a
more of.
hint?
Can you get a hint? It's
Northern
somewhere-
or southern hemisphere? Now we're going to text.
Southern hemisphere.
Is it on this side of the world or on
It's
the
on
other
this
side?
side of the world.
So is it South America?
South America.
All right.
Good job. Way to go. Sorry, Shania, if that's where you were going. We didn't even let you take a guess. No? Okay.
What were you going to
Guessing
guess?
somewhere over in like Asia, so I was
Okay.
completely off.
Completely off. Okay, actually, Argentina and Brazil are our lead competitors when it comes to corn and soybean market. And just recently, they had a shift in their government, and so they are actually changing some laws, and they're changing. Actually, they're having a turnover of their president, and so with that, with all types of government, with change, you get more change, and how it really affects our ag markets here is their dollar is strengthening. So it's gonna be harder for them to import products, and so that's why our markets might be a little bit higher on corn and soybean. That's why we saw a run up on our soybean market.
So some good news for those soy and corn farmers that we have out there. Soybeans, yes, sorry.
Soybean and corn farmers.
Soybean
There you
and
go.
corn farmers. So that is now time for our break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little more about those of you on the agriculture side of things.
Right now, 61.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
All right, and welcome back to the Extension Connection. You are joined today by myself, Amelia Dahl, Ashley Stegman, and Shania Brooks from the Burleigh County Extension Office. And before the break, we were talking about markets and our market forecasts, and Shania and I were failing miserably at knowing where our competitors are in terms of commodities that we produce in North Dakota. So Ashley said she has just a little more to talk about in terms of the market, and hopefully no more pop questions I don't know the answers to.
No, I'll try not to quiz you guys too much. Just to talk a little bit more about that crop outlook, the crop market outlook. As I said, we have 86% of our U.S. corn crop acres planted. Now, we are seeing some acres lapse a little bit later. A lot of our eastern corn belt, so the I states, they've had a lot of moisture, and so they aren't able to get in the fields and get planted as soon as they wanted to. So we might be here in North Dakota a little bit farther ahead of them in purpose of harvest season.
So what is an I state?
An I state. So, okay, you've heard the Corn Belt, right?
Right.
Okay, so the Corn Belt. Being that I am originally from Iowa, so it's any I state in the Corn Belt. So Iowa, Indiana, Illinois. Those are really the three.
Okay.
But then there's Ohio, Wisconsin, kind of.
So if they have an I in their name.
Yeah, usually, it has to begin with the letter
Okay.
I. But, Illinois, Iowa, and Indiana are top, I guess, and Nebraska there. Those are your 4 leading states in corn acres.
Good to
the
know.
most corn
I
is
didn't realize-
planted in the Corn Belt.
Illinois grew corn.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a lot like Iowa. Just, there's a border that separates.
And see, whenever I think of Illinois, I always think Chicago. Like, 'cause that's the only other part of Illinois I've ever really seen.
It's mostly gridlocked, and it's corn and soybeans there too. So
Good to know.
yeah. So just talking about those markets, like I said, we've seen some fluctuation with the soybean market. We've seen it climb a little bit for us. That does directly play into the changing government that Argentina has seen. Their dollar is strengthening, so their import is and their export. There's change in that dollar, so that's causing more of our product here in the U.S. to be picked up and purchased versus their product, which is a good thing for our farmers here. And then looking at kind of the forecast when you want to talk about market prices for the futures, looks like close at trading on this week we're seeing about a $3.98 per bushel for corn, about $10.58 for our soybeans, and our spring wheat is at $5.24. Canola is about $5.20. And so that is kind of just a short rundown of what our future market prices at close of trading will look like here at the end of the week. And then, as we're talking about our farmers and getting those crops planted and getting them growing, we also have to think about our ranchers and all those cattle we have out there. Make sure with this moisture we're getting, we need that moisture for our grasses to grow in order to keep our cattle out grazing. But make sure that you are monitoring your grazing and the amount of forage that you have available there. Now, if you have native rangeland, you're probably still a little too early to be putting your cows out there. You want to really wait and let that grass grow and get to the right boot length for it. And so traditionally we recommend that you open the gate around June. Second week to June is really the best time to just make sure those native plants have enough time to recoup and really get that full nutrition value for your livestock out there. If you've been out on your cool seasons, make sure that you're looking to see those warm seasons coming up. Monitoring your grazing resources really can help you determine when to remove livestock from a pasture and prevent overgrazing. That's really the thing that we want to make sure that we're not overgrazing or mob grazing in areas so it gets injured, and injured means there's not enough growth that comes back next year. We really need that grass stand to work for us to produce that nutrition for our livestock. Forage is measured by a percentage of the plant that has been consumed or destroyed by that animal. It should be monitored throughout the grazing period to ensure that you achieve proper usage of that forage and maintain that plant health and prevent overuse of certain species of grass. General rule of thumb, utilization of that grass is achieved when 50% of that plant matter has been consumed. And so when you see a 12-inch plant go down to 6-inch, that's probably time to move on. You need to move to the next paddock or let that area stand idle for a little while. That way that grass can grow and come back and build that nutrient stand again. Really, to determine the utilization, you must take measurements during the grazing period or within 3 days of removal of the livestock. So you want to be looking at that grass and, don't take more than 50%. It's really strongly suggested that we leave at least 50% plant matter out there so we are keeping our soil and our grasses in good health for the next year.
So let's say that I'm a farmer or rancher.
Okay.
And I have already let my cattle out into my field to graze. Is there anything I should be doing to ensure that I'm not damaging that land for future use?
No, really, you want to make sure that you're not overstocking. So overstocking means putting too many cow-calf pairs or cows, whether you are early calver or late calver. You want to make sure that you're not overstocking, putting too many animal units out there on that area. And if you need assistance with figuring out your stocking rate, please feel free to give me a call. We do have recommendations on how many animal units you should put out per acres for grazing purposes.
And how do I get a hold of you?
And wonderful, Amelia. And to get a hold of me, you can call our office, the Burleigh County Extension Office, that is, and that's at 701-221-6865.
All right, so Ashley is really there as a resource for all those farmers and ranchers in our county who may have questions, whether it's grazing or crops or anything related to running a successful farm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add about corn or soybeans?
All right. Well, we are going to be having a in-service here next June 2nd is actually the date, and it will be held at Mandan at the USDA Research Farm here, and that will really be on monitoring your pastures and your rangelands. We actually have Extension has produced a tool for monitoring pastures and rangelands, and really that tool is used to measure the grazed and ungrazed height of your forages. What we will do is even go through proper ID of different forages within your pastures or your rangeland, help you come up with key IDing points, and then by using that tool, you can measure the length of that forage that you have out there. We have a fun little calculation that you can do, and that will help you know how much plant matter is being removed, because not every blade of grass is going to be an equal 12-inch and leave 6 inches there, right? You're not going to go out and measure every single
unless you're
grass.
my neighbor.
Your neighbor, she might.
They might.
Okay. Well, and with that, we're talking. I'm talking a lot about our agriculture, but just to remind our gardeners, we have a wonderful resource at the office. If you have any questions related to horticulture, gardening, your shrubs, your trees, your landscape, we of course are getting a lot of questions in, but we have Kelsey Sheldon, who's our extension program assistant for horticulture. She is available. I know she's busy on making house calls and going out into the county and helping individuals plan out their gardens or answering some of those questions that you just don't know and you need a little more education on. And so just reminding our audience that she's a great resource. If you have a question, definitely give our office a call and ask for Kelsey. That number again is 221-6865. Another opportunity that she is actually going to be starting here June 14th is a garden gossip hour. And so that's kind of a time if you have questions about maybe what you're seeing in your garden. I know my peppers in my gardens, they're right now showing a little curling on the leaf and a little sun scald even. And so those are some things that maybe you're seeing in your garden and you want to get answers. That's a perfect time to come in, ask those questions, and it's going to be with a bunch of other gardeners. So it should be a great time. That will be starting June 14th. Tuesday, that's next week. Nope, it's a couple weeks now.
Yep.
So June 14th, it's a Tuesday, and it will be from 10 to 11.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some fun activities to do with your kids over the summertime because school is almost over.
Right now, 61.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. supertalk1270.com.
All right, welcome back to the Extension Connection. You are joined today by Amelia Dahl, Ashley Stegman, and Shania Brooks from the Burleigh County Extension Office. And before the break, we were talking about some market values and some proper grazing techniques. And just a reminder, if you have any questions about anything we talk about on the show today, feel free to give our office a call at 221-6865. And I also encourage you to follow Burleigh County Extension on Facebook, and we're on Twitter and Instagram and out on our website. We have a lot of really great programs that are coming up, some fun activities for you to do, and some good information for you. Just last week, Ashley and I each put out a PSA about managing ticks, and that seems to be a hot topic.
Very hot topic. It's the time of year.
Yep.
If you find yourself going on a walk, a hike, kind
Playing
of
in your yard.
Playing in your yard. Yep, they can even be in your yard, not just the wooded areas or tall grass areas. They do infringe in our backyard. And I guess my PSA that I wrote was directly with your pets and making sure, because a lot of times, of course, when it's nice out, we like to get out there. We like to walk our pets, and a lot of friendly little creatures like to follow their other friendly little creatures, and those little creatures might come into your homes. So you want to make sure, if you are taking your pets out for a walk, that you are routinely checking them, making sure that they are tick-free, of course. Areas that that ticks like to latch onto on your pets are going to be kind of in the limb areas, so armpit areas, under the ears, on the face sometimes. So you just want to make sure that you're giving them a proper look over. And if you do find a tick that is attached, instead of just pulling that out, try to grab a tweezers, and you want to make sure that you're pulling it out so you're taking so the tick releases and doesn't sink in and leave that mouth part there. And with our pets, that can cause a lot of issues. There's a lot of diseases that our pets could get via tick bite. So you just want to make sure that you're giving them a good look over.
And same precautions kind of go for people and kids. Make sure you're checking your kids over if they've been outside playing. Just like with animals, on humans, ticks like warm areas. So under your armpits, behind the back of your knees, in your hair, behind your ears, in your groin area. So make sure you're checking over, make sure you don't find any ticks. And I've had a few questions about, well, I do a tick check, and then it seems at 2 o'clock in the morning, I feel a bug crawling on me. That bug was probably with you, maybe on your clothes when you came in. So if you've been out in an area that you're really concerned about ticks, or if you find a tick on you, I strongly encourage you to just take those clothes and throw them right away into the laundry. Get them into that washing machine so that you are reducing the risk of that tick being wandering around your house. Some other precautions, if you know you're going to be outside in those heavy wooded areas or tall grass, wear long pants, long sleeves. It is kind of a warmer time of year, but you can get some nice wicking clothes that limits the amount of skin exposure that you have for ticks to latch onto. It also is a great sun safety way to protect yourself. So long pants, closed-toed shoes, long sleeve shirt, and then light-colored clothing is actually good too, because then you can see those ticks easily if they're crawling on you before they've latched onto your skin. And then just make sure when you pull them off that you are disposing of them appropriately. Don't try and squish them in between your fingers. A lot of people want to do that. Ticks are actually a quite resilient bug. They have a very, very thick skin or thick shell on them. So squishing them in between your fingers, you're just allowing them to get another access to biting your skin. So you can flush them down the toilet. So I know some people drown them in alcohol. You can wrap them up in masking tape. Basically, you want to suffocate them so that they aren't crawling out of your garbage can in a few days.
And latching onto you again.
Yes, we don't need a repeat of that. So that's just an example of some of the information you'll find out on our website. And if we do get a lot of calls in our office, we try and put out a PSA related to that, because chances are if one person has called our office or sent us a message on Facebook about something, there's probably a few hundred other people out there who have the same question who may not know where to go. So if you're that person who knows about us, knows where we are, knows how to get a hold of us, ask us and we will tell.
Exactly.
One of the things that's really exciting this time of year is the end of school is coming up. I don't know who's usually more excited for the end of school, whether it's parents or kids or teachers.
I was gonna
Teachers
say,
or kids.
I don't know.
Parents
Parents are probably like, they could go a little bit longer.
Right. Parents are looking ahead at the summer, and we may have kids this summer that for their first time are staying home alone. And that's kind of a big deal when you get into that age where your friends start staying home alone and you're making deals with your parents about staying home alone.
I'll do the dishes if you let me, have a friend over.
Exactly. So one thing to keep in mind is North Dakota does not have a law that's specific to what age your child can stay home alone. It's really up to the parent and you knowing your child and what they are capable of and the maturity level of your child. It's recommended at age 9 is kind of a good time to start looking at that, but we all know kids mature at different rates and different times, and so you as a parent are the one that has to ultimately make that call. If you do have a child that you're thinking, well, maybe it would be a good time to start exploring staying home alone, even if it's half a day, they go to summer school in the morning and they're coming home for half a day and are home alone. We do have a great class that we offer through Burleigh County Extension in partnership with several partners in the community. Burleigh Public Health is one of our main partners. We also partner with the Bismarck Police Department, Bismarck Fire Department, Bismarck Parks and Rec. Sometimes we have the Sheriff's Department come in, Burleigh County Emergency Management. So we have a lot of different partners who come in. It's a free program. It's called Home Alone, Are You Ready? And we have 2 classes coming up that week right after school gets out. So our first class is June 7th from 12:30 to 2:30. And our next class is June 8th, so the very next day from 9 to 11. So it's a 2-hour class. Again, it's free of charge. The Bismarck Mandan Safety Council provides us with a grant that we use to purchase some of the supplies we need, so that we can offer this program free of charge to the youth in our community. So if you're interested in getting your child signed up for the event, it's really targeted to kids 9 to 13. But if you have kids that are older that you'd think would gain knowledge from that, please get a hold of us and we can talk a little bit about that. Registration for this is all available online. There's a link on our website, or you can call our office and I can shoot you the link. Again, it's a great program. We have a lot of hands-on activities, and we'll really talk with kids about things to do when they're home alone that aren't sitting in front of a TV playing video games, because kids are notorious for, what'd you do today? Oh, I got to level 13 on my video game, or I sat and played on my tablet, or I watched a bunch of TV. Kids love to do that, and we as parents sometimes like to do that too, but really we need to watch the amount of screen time that our kids are having. Studies show that kids lose an average of 3 months of learning during the summertime. So in that time when they're not at school and they're not actively learning, they're losing all of that learning that happened. So it's basically like January, February, March never happened. And so we want to help retain as much of that knowledge as possible. And there are some great things that you can do to help them do that without even realizing they're learning. One thing, and I'm going to put a plug in here for one of my favorite summer activities, is sending them to summer camp. Summer camp is a great way not only for your kid to learn new things, but develop social skills. It might be a time that they are away from home for the first time and without mom and dad. And 4-H has some great summer camps coming up. They are starting that first week in June. So June 5th through the 9th is our first camp, and they run through the middle of August. And we have some awesome camps this year. Camps are filling up. And a lot of kids from Burleigh and Morton County go up to camp because it's close. It's just north of Washburn. Parents drop you off on Sunday and come and pick you up on Thursday. So it's a good time to kind of get used to something that you may be a little hesitant about. So if you're looking for something for your kids to do, send them to camp for a week. Ashley and I each spend a week up at camp doing different camps. Ashley, you do livestock camp, right?
Yep. Yep, and we have out of 30 potential, we have about 26 registered. So we have a few spots available, and our camp is called Livestock Camp, and where we kind of work off the animal science. We kind of learn more about our animals, how to take care of them, how to groom them, and we have a quiz bowl even to kind of test your knowledge and help you learn new things about livestock that might interest you.
Awesome. And my camp is Survivor Camp, and it's based on the show Survivor. So kids are on teams, and they compete in challenges and activities. We have a giant mud pit activity that Shania is actually working on, where they're going to do some Scrabble in the mud pit, which will be an exciting.
Ooh,
yeah, and we're going to do fishing and canoeing and milk jug rafting. So it will be a great camp. All of the camps have something unique and fun. We have a 40-foot water slide at camp that seems to be the highlight.
You do have to say, I think everybody talks about it.
Yep, that's one of the things that kids say. They all across the board. The water slide is awesome. So that's just one thing that you can do this summer for your kids to kind of continue that learning that's happening in the summertime. And when we come back, we'll talk about a few other things to help reduce that learning loss during the summertime.
Right now, it's 59.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
All right, welcome back to the Extension Connection. This is Amelia Dahl from Burleigh County Extension, and I'm joined today by Ashley Stegman and Shania Brooks, also from Burleigh County Extension. And before the break, we were talking about ways that you can decrease learning loss over the summertime, and we talked a little bit about 4-H camp. Now, Shania, did you ever go to summer camp?
I wasn't, no.
You never got to go?
Never went.
Did you ever wish you could go?
I wish I could go. All the kids that went, they said it looked super fun, and they always got to do the mud pit and the slide and all that cool stuff.
Yeah. So as an adult, I wish I would have gone to camp more because I only went to camp my senior year of high school. And looking back, like as soon as I was done, I said to myself, why didn't I go starting as a 6th grader? It's such a fun experience, and those relationships you build at camp. We'll have kids that come back every year, and they make sure they come back the same week that their friends come back so they can see all their camp friends. Mm-hmm. So another way to kind of limit screen time is I know this has been floating around on some social media sites. So give your kids a list of things they have to do before they are able to have screen time. So the first one is read for 20 minutes. Now, most kids will love to read, and so once they start reading, they will actually end up reading longer than 20 minutes. So, but if you set that minimum read for 20 minutes every day, then that's a good gauge of time. I know that if I sit down to read and I don't have things going on, I could get totally lost in a book all day. The next thing is write a paragraph about your day and then have a math problem of the day. So give your kids a notebook at the beginning of the day and have them journal. Now, we think, that will help with writing and, spelling, but it will also help with them being able to tell a story. Now, storytelling is something that it's a skill. We do it all the time, and so we don't really think about it, but it's really a developed skill. And if you have younger kids, you can have them draw a picture of the day. And it's really cool to look back at the end of the summer and see all the different stuff they've done and see all the pictures they've drawn. And what a fun memory book to have to look back and see your summer. And then a math problem of the day. This, you could just find it online and give them a math problem equivalent to their age. Check your room to make sure it's clean. I know that if my parents had this rule, I would have never had screen time growing up. But make sure they understand what clean means, because to a 8-year-old, clean is a lot different than to mom.
So dirty clothes in the closet doesn't count.
Or shoved under the bed. Or my personal favorite was I would throw my dirty clothes on my bed and even them out so they looked flat, and then I'd make my bed over top of it.
That's too much work.
Well, I didn't have to. Actually,
Throwing them under the bed is way easier.
Yeah, but my mom,
act of rebellion almost.
I know. My mom didn't. My mom would look under the bed. She didn't look under the sheets.
She didn't notice lumpy sheets.
Well, I wasn't the best at making a bed. The blanket was just kind of thrown on there. I mean, I will admit that I was a little bit of a rebellious child. I hated cleaning my room. Yeah. My mom, on several occasions, would walk into my room and just bag stuff up.
Oh. So you, like, lost things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
You can earn this back when your room's clean. You guys never had?
No.
Oh, yeah, I got some of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm not crazy. So define what cleaned means. Bed is made, lights are off, fan is off, clothes are picked up, papers off the floor, Legos off the floor.
Oh,
I have 2
Legos.
boys.
That's a big thing. Legos, those building blocks, they need to be put away, especially like those G.I. Joe toys, because when Mom has to get up in the middle of the night and we don't turn the lights on because we want to keep all the little kids sleeping,
Yeah.
they find your feet and they hurt.
They hurt a lot. And then give them a few options. Have you done one of the following? Played with your toys, played with your brother or sister, practiced your instrument, built something or made something with our DIY creative kit or anything else you would have found.
Ooh, that
So-
kind of sounds like a fun idea. Like,
Yeah. I actually have one for my boys, and they think it's very cool. It has toothpicks and popsicle sticks and pool noodles that have been cut up. And the sticks, the toothpicks, actually work really well to stick pool noodles together.
Okay.
And so they
Very
can
cool.
build.
they can build. And then it's
Nice.
always fun to see what they come up with. Like, oh, what is this? And my 4-year-old William will be running around the house. Mom, can I use this for my project? Yeah, William, just go for it. Like, he'll pull stuff out of recycling, and he'll use, like, I have to hide tape in
cool.
my house because I think the kid would use it all if I didn't
Oh.
hide it. So just give them some stuff, and you'd be amazed at what kids come up with. Let them be creative. Creativity is something that we see less and less of in the schools as we get more and more towards standardized testing. And so give kids that opportunity to be creative and tell them they have to be creative for at least 30 minutes.
Now, another thing, I'm just thinking back from when I was a kid. Of course, I lived on the farm, so my chores were like get up, feed the cows, make sure
Right.
the, goats are fed. We didn't have goats right then, but we had one. And so I had like livestock chores I had to do. And then another one I always had to do, and my mom could always tell if I didn't do it, was water the garden.
Yep.
And some of those plants, if you have house plants or something, make that a chore that
Yep.
they have to go around and water. And let me tell you, your garden, if it's not watered, you'll figure out if your kids
Right.
are watering or not
Exactly.
quite quickly.
Yeah, the last thing on here that you have to do in order to earn screen time is finish one chore from the chore basket.
Okay.
And then it has to be like checked off by mom or dad
Okay.
to say you actually did it. So now if your kids are at home alone, you're going to have to kind of set up a system. Maybe you go home at lunch to check their chore, or you don't check it till the night before or the night after. But put some of those chores in there, like watering plants, switching the washer and dryer, depending on the age of your kids, mowing the lawn, loading and unloading the dishwasher, age-appropriate
Tasks
chores.
are
Yes,
important.
yes. And there are a few life skills that when we think about kids learning life skills, a lot of times we don't think about that until they get into that junior high school age. But really, there are life skills that you can start teaching your kids as young as 2 and 3. Some of those 2 and 3-year-old life skills: helping put toys away, put clothes in a laundry basket, put clothes on with their own help, and helping brush their own teeth. So those are life skills. We do them every day, and sometimes we don't think to involve our kids. I'm fortunate and I have front load washers. So when I'm doing laundry, one of my kids helps transfer the clothes from the washer into the dryer, and then my 4-year-old sorts the clothes out by color and then puts the load into the washer. So there's a lot of things that you can do around the house that you don't have to have a structured time where you sit down and you say, now we're gonna go over the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and do the math, because there's learning that happens when you're not structured. And yes, there are some great learning apps out there, but try and get away from using that screen. Try and do things like doing the laundry or
Setting the table.
setting the table is huge. There are so many kids who don't know how to set the table. It's crazy. And as you get older, if you look at that like 10-year range, that age where kids would be staying at home, some good life skills, staying home alone is actually number 1 on the list. Plan and prepare meals. So simple things that they can help with around to help make dinner easier. Even if you mix up everything to go in the crock pot and their job is to put it in the crock pot and turn the crock pot on at noon. That's a good life skill. Help them learn how to compare pricing when you're grocery shopping. So when you're at the grocery store, have them look at 2 cans of cream of tomato soup and which one's cheaper, which one is cheaper for the amount available, which one's the better deal. Purchase items at a store. You would be surprised how many kids don't know how to spend money.
That's very true. Last couple weeks ago, I was at one of the high schools, and I asked kids, okay, so who primarily does the grocery shopping? Do you go with, da-da-da? And most of the kids say that they'll go with their mom to pick out groceries, but they've never actually had to do any type of shopping for groceries on their own.
Yeah, well, and they don't even know how to pay. Like, if they can't swipe a card, counting out money, and if they're on the other side, counting out change, it's not a life skill that a lot of kids had, which is unfortunate. One more quick activity that I think is fun is to do a nature scavenger hunt. So give kids a list of things like they have to find something fuzzy, find 2 different kinds of seeds, 2 pieces of man-made litter, something straight, something round, something smooth, something rough. 2 different types of leaves, something that's been munched on, something green. So things that you can find readily available in nature, but it's a learning opportunity for them to understand, like, oh, this is what smooth means, this is what rough means. Or if they're older, make it a little more challenging.
And maybe you're not a parent, but maybe you're a babysitter or somebody that nannies during the summer or something. Having some of those pre-planned ideas or some of those things to do is wonderful.
Yep. All right. Well, that is all we have for the Extension Connection this week. We will be back in 2 weeks. And as always, feel free to give us a call at 221-6865. Have a good week.